I have two children, an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. Masa in the past handled a divorce case for me, and it trickled into another case now that she's handling for me for child support and custody. The three words that first come to mind when I think of Masa are aggressive. She's very aggressive, actually. She's super knowledgeable, especially when it comes to family law, and she's very caring. I would refer Masa to friends and family, and I actually have, and I know that my friends that I've referred her to are very happy with her services. I was referred to Masa by a college friend of mine, one of my close friends that I really trust. She's an attorney as well, so I knew that she doesn't do family law, but I knew that she had a circle of lawyers that she counted on and that she recommended to her friends. So with that, she told me to contact Masa. I did. I don't really remember our first phone call, but I remember the first time I walked in her office. I was kind of young, and I thought that I had what my divorce would be like in my head, and I went to Masa. I was in tears. And Masa just made me very calm, and in that moment I knew that my friend had already told me she was a beast, so I knew, like, coming in, like, oh, Masa's a beast, she's gonna handle this and it's not gonna be any big deal. But when I got to meet her, I knew that she would handle it not just as a lawyer, but as somebody who cared about the case. And I felt like she asked a lot of questions about my children in the first meeting, and that let me know that she operated with the children in mind. So everything that would happen with my case would be with my kids in mind, which was the most important thing to me. So I'll be honest, when I first met Masa, she gave me strict recommendations of what I should do because, like I said, she is very aggressive, but I didn't completely listen to her like I should have, and I ended up learning a lot along the way because, one, I learned that I should listen to Masa. That's the first thing I learned, but aside from that, I went in like, oh, this is how my divorce is gonna go. My ex and I, well, my husband at the time, will be different than everyone else. We don't need all these extra services. And she's like, no, you need to fight for this and that. I don't want to give too many details, but she told me exactly what I needed to fight for. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do all that. I just want to be divorced and I want to get it over with. And against my now better judgment, I ended up having to learn a lot more than I wanted to along the way. And then with that, she's handling a second case for me now. And she's just very knowledgeable, and I should have listened to her the first time because I would have saved everyone involved a lot of time. But she taught me a lot about family law. She taught me a lot about what's in the best interest of my children. She taught me a lot about what I do and don't have to put up with because divorces are very emotional. They're very tiring. It doesn't just affect the husband and the wife, it affects the children and everything. And she's taught me a lot about how to move with my kids in mind, and that may not be what the rest of the world thinks it should be, but I don't know. She's taught me a lot, and I'm super appreciative. I'm trying to think of some great words to relate my divorce to, but it's a little difficult. But I know that it was a nightmare, and I think that with it being a nightmare, the thing that helped me most with it was I felt like Masa wasn't just a lawyer in it. I felt like she had walked in my shoes, so I felt like she could seriously convey the message that I wanted, not just to my ex, but to the judge and whoever else she needed to plead my case. Like, I was super comfortable with her pleading on my behalf and going to court. I don't think I ever went to court, actually. I think Masa handled everything for me, and she would just call me later with an update, and that made a super ugly situation whimsical, like just not having to deal with it myself and being able to trust her to do it on my behalf. So my divorce experience with Masa, I'll say she just made it a lot easier than it should be, and I gained a lot of respect and a lot of trust for Masa. The more I got to know her and the more I talked about her. Divorces are very emotional. Mine was a nightmare, and I think that with the nightmare, she made it a lot easier because I didn't have to show up to court and I didn't have to answer a bunch of questions or talk to people I didn't want to talk to. She handled everything on my behalf. I completely trusted her to go to court on my behalf, not just as my lawyer, but also as someone who had been in my shoes, because Masa's very open with her story. So she explained to me, you know, that she is a divorcee and she was a single mother because of it and how hard that was on her. And I felt comfortable with her having walked in my shoes, speaking on my behalf, I felt like she can completely convey my message to the judge or anyone else that needed to hear it, and with that, fight for what was best for me and my children. So she made what should have been a nightmare very easy for me, and it became just a very whimsical experience. There's a lot that I remember bad about it, but with every negative for my divorce, I feel like there was a positive that Masa made happen. If you're thinking about getting divorced or unsure of what your next steps should be, I do recommend calling Masa Renwick. Masa is a very aggressive attorney that will work for you on your behalf, and you will have little or no trouble of your own with it. She will work for what's in the best interest of your children if you do have children, and she will work for what's fair for all the parties involved. With that, she'll also crack jokes along the way, which makes it a lot more comfortable, and she will just be there for you whenever you need her, whether it's via email or phone or anything in between. If you reach out to Masa, you'll get a response, which is very important when you're going through something super emotional.